Good afternoon. So, second presentation of the day. Yeah, we've been talking about AI all morning, no? In fact, earlier today, there was a talk about deep fakes, right? There was, and I won't go through what that means because we've already gone through that earlier, which is great. So, I'll pass through terminologies. We've covered that this morning, and I won't have to go through it. Why AI? It's basically what's enabling our businesses today, right? Everybody, and even in the first discussion this morning, they're talking about AI and checks and the like, which gave me a little bit of a, it was a queasy feeling. Yeah, right? AI and check writing. Just think about it. Think about that, right? Think about what can be done. What can an adversary do in that system? They get into it, right? Financials, etc., right? Okay, when we really think about AI, we think about how it is developed, right? When you think of a system, you have to understand how it works in order for us to be able to work in it, compute in it, and secure it, right? We have to understand how it works. And really, I'll talk about ethics, risk management, some takeaways here that you can take with you, and some resources, the risk management framework for AI. ISO came out with AI management systems. So there's a standard, and MITRE Atlas provides you the same thing that you saw earlier on ICS that Mon talked about, right? So you can take that away. And that's really what we're going to talk about when we talk about combating AI, right? Or threats in this space. So machine learning, again, we know what that is. Looks at patterns, looks at predictions. The more the strength of the computer, the algorithm, the more learning it's going to get, right? Then we've got natural language processing, which is what we know as the Geminis and the chats and those that we are able to connect with. Natural language is understanding human language, and generative AI is what we experience today. Every single diagram here I built or I prompted on chat, okay, or Gemini, one of the two. And I asked it and I said, tell me what goes under the umbrella of artificial intelligence and provide me a picture image in a, I think, artistic kind of way. That's exactly what I put in a prompt, and that's what it provided. So, again, it's something that we're all using today. So the benefits of artificial intelligence in cybersecurity is quite simple. It allows us to be able to automate the way we correlate events. Previously, we used to correlate that manually. Then came those tools where they were able to do machine learning. And then they were able to do deep learning. And if you ask somebody who's providing continuous monitoring and they are in charge of your environment, they're going to tell you, I still use AI. I have ML, I have deep learning, and I have threat intelligence, and I do the correlations. And then in order to give you that information, and I'll use generative AI so you can read it so the normal user can understand what those correlations mean. And that's where they're going with that. So what does it do? It allows us, just as the gentleman said earlier, on Saturday or yesterday when everybody is on holiday, the SOC analyst has to do these correlations all day long. There's no way he can do it without the use of AI, without the use of services who rely on artificial intelligence. And of course, the faster you correlate, the faster you investigate, the lower the cost to remediate, right? So imagine if you have an incident and there's no correlation engine and you're trying to do this manually, and you have forensics investigator that you're paying by the hour. By the way, it depends on where you're from. It could cost you from $300 to $500 an hour per manpower, okay? So normally it takes about 5 to 6 resources to do pen testing or to do investigation. So imagine how much you're spending in an hour if you had 6 resources. And if they were doing that using AI, right, and the correlations, that would be much faster, right? That bill, that taxi, meter, that's what I call a taximeter. You're already distressed and going to a incident, and you have to watch the meter of the incident responder, right? The forensics investigator, because that's going to go higher and higher. So AI allows us to be able to automate many things that we do today, right? So those are the good benefits. So when we talk about AI today, think about artificial intelligence is another platform. It's like the cloud, right? When the cloud came in from internet, we went to cloud, and everybody goes, oh, everybody's going to go on cloud. And every organization said, no more on-premise. Everybody go to cloud, right? And then there came APIs. Then, what's next? Blockchain, right? Virtual currency, etc. These things happen. And all these questions start asking, what am I doing from a security perspective, right? But if you notice on the left-hand side, I called it red and blue, so it was kind of cool, right? Bad, good, blue. But anyway, an attack. See what they're using AI for today? They're phishing better because they're using this enabler. If it's enabler for good, it is definitely an enabler for bad, right? They can automate VA scanning and automate the use of making exploits, right? They can really get good at deepfakes, and they're awesome on social engineering. I don't answer a phone that doesn't have a name attached to it, and I don't know the name, because I know that could be a call that's just looking for my voice, right? That's deepfakes. Social engineering getting better, right? And it makes you kind of think about, wow, okay, good, I'm moving fast. And then, so social engineering is all part of that. It's the means and ways for me to get information, how best to use AI to give you that message, both from text, maybe on your SMS. We get that all the time if you see that, right? Next, AR-powered malware. That's basically the type of validating or prompts that is inputted into by an aggressor into your database, into that training data, can be exploited, right? Malware, use malware, exploit that, right? And autonomous attack bots. The faster, right? You can launch that without nobody even touching the information. It could be triggered by an action or a word or what have you, right? So it's difficult to trace those things in essence. But you can definitely defend against it. Anti-phishing, behavioral analytics. Now you can use AI here to your advantage. Understanding your users, their behaviors, their time, when they get on, when they get off, what do they do, who did they talk to. It's almost like being a voyeur of your environment, right? So that you can see any anomalies and quickly, plug in the controls for those. So it's the same pieces, AI-powered vulnerability scanning and patching, right? Don't use yesterday's technology for today's system, right? So make sure that you continue to improve on your scanning capabilities so you can prioritize and automate the patches that are most that is priority. But at the same time, something that I learned today, somebody said earlier, who said, hey, you know what, why don't you go ahead and close out the easy ones, because they're no hit to the user, and it's easy to close. But most people will go issue and say, make sure you fix your critical and high, and then we kind of forget about the medium and low, right? So this is a way to do that. You can use automation to do that. There are those things that we call generated or decoy data, right? Data, basically, it's like a honeypot for an aggressor, but on the AR platform. And of course, threat detection and response. Please, whatever you do, if you have, make sure that you are subscribed to same service, that type of service. So the next is adversarial attacks and deepfakes. I talked about deepfakes earlier. It's been spoken about. But one of the key things is adversarial attacks really have a physical effect to us. Misclassifying an image, right? Imagine a self-driving vehicle sees a sign, but it doesn't, it has an image that might tweak it. And suddenly that vehicle will either go faster or turn left when it shouldn't, or right when it shouldn't, right? Facial recognition, you've seen that happen. And of course, because it can generate so much of these social engineering messages, you're gonna get a lot of those spam, etc., right? So training your data, your AI data, is important. Securing that data. What's training it? Who's training it? And then defensive distillation is making sure the information or the data is simple enough, right? It can't be so complicated that over time somebody can manipulate that data to cause another effect, right? And then input transformation, again, important to control what's getting fed into the system. And of course, filtering, detection and filtering. Deepfakes, you've seen that. There was already, we talked about that earlier. But look at the countermeasures. Isn't it multi-factor authentication, awareness campaigns? It's practically the same things that we say even in cloud, even in API, right? So risk management framework, these are take-homes. Check out NIST AI 100-1. There are 3 things you need to worry about systems when you get in contact with it. Either it's working or it's going to be developed. That it could harm people, it could harm your organization, or it could harm your ecosystem. Individuals, a group, societal risks are there. Put the references here. These are going to be shared with everybody, I believe, right? So check this out. It's some reading, but this will arm you. So for those that are thinking about getting to AI, or your environment or your organization is wanting to get an AI service, want to connect to one, go through this risk management framework. Next is build. If you're building it, build it responsibly. Privacy, make sure it's ethical. Make sure you put the same defenses you have when you put it on servers and cloud. Protect the data. Make sure you have some type of defense in depth. And of course, control the access. I talked about risk management framework, just a little bit about that. ISO 42001 came out last year. This is now the management system for artificial intelligence. So, and again, I'm going to use a resource, use this. Talks about planning, support, operations, how to evaluate, and how to improve it. Last is the MITRE Atlas. This is your Bible now. When you think about what an adversary can do with your AI platform, check out the link that we provided down here. Same matrix that Ron showed you, but on ICS, and this one is on AI itself. And I've already mentioned a few pieces in there, right? So from reconnaissance all the way out to impact, it will show you each and every single one of those techniques. This will change over time, so keep your eye on, make sure you check this out all the time. Okay, so that's it. NIST, you take 3 things away from today. Know that there's a NIST risk framework, ISO, and your MITRE Atlas. So that should kind of arm you so you can start combating these threats on the AI environment. Okay?